Hello guys, I'm just going to do a quick video here. It's going to be an outline of the Magna Carta in accordance with Clause 61. So just bear with me here. So we're going to start the presentation from the beginning. So the Magna Carta. This is a binding document since 1215 when it was sealed by King John and the 25 barons in the meadows of Runnymede. These 25 barons are still in existence today, as well the heir of King John, Queen Elizabeth, is still bound upon holding up this treaty. Magna Carta, it's Latin for the Great Treaty. So that's just a basic outline of the history of the Magna Carta. So the significance of the document, it's been used for universal human rights, Bill of Rights for the American Constitution. There's actually a good story about, I believe his name is Philip Coke, who invoked this document in the 17th century. And the Americans used his interpretation of the Great Treaty or the Magna Carta in order to invoke their Bill of Rights, that which they know today. So there's a little more history I could do with this. Probably another video, the history of the Magna Carta. But I'll just go through kind of the basic outline. It's also shaped the Canadian Charter Rights of Freedoms. And it's also helped form First Nation treaties in Canada. So who is this document binding upon? So any Crown agents, so that'd be like police officer, municipal workers, so any clerks, bylaw officers, provincial police, provincial employees, provincial correction officers, like at parks, as well as national parks, so federal servants. These people are bound by the 63 clauses of the Great Treaty, Magna Carta, as well Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who is heir of King John, which I just mentioned earlier, as well as the 25 barons. So anybody can swear an oath to the 25 barons as long as you're a citizen of a Commonwealth country. So that would be Canada, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, Jamaica, etc. So if you're a citizen of any of these countries, you can evoke this if you feel any of the clause that I'm about to mention is broken. As well, any parliamentary statute law made does not override any common law provisions of the 63 clauses of the treaty. So that's very important as well. Let's keep moving on here. So what clauses are in the Magna Carta? Well, we'll go through here. So the recent history, so there's 63 clauses in the Magna Carta. Clause 61 was successfully invoked in March 23rd, 2001. When one clause is invoked, all clauses are binding. The original document wasn't in separate clauses. It was only made in separate clauses to make it more readable. And mind you, too, this was translated from Latin to English, Old English. So does mention about like scutage, seizing castles, which we don't have any castles anymore. Maybe in Britain we do, but basically it's been a little bit modernized. So I can go over that a little bit later, but yeah, all these Clause 1 is freedom of churches. I know I didn't put it on here, but freedom of churches elections. So basically, that is religious freedom. So if any of the crown agents inhibit upon this religious freedom, that is grounds for invoking this great treaty and swearing an oath to the 25 barons. As well, other clauses too is a right of habeas corpus. So you can ask, well, you demand a writ to be submitted to the court for arrest or detain upon reasonable remand, and the right of counsel without delay. So if you are dealing with the police and they have submitted no evidence to the court, this must be, you can always ask for a writ of habeas corpus, and they must get evidence of the court to, beyond a reasonable doubt, to arrest or detain you. If that evidence has been made, or if it's not, if this request hasn't been made right away, so say if you still ask for this and they still arrest you, the crown agents can be held in high treason for not holding up the clause of this of the habeas corpus. So it's very important to know your rights and how to interact with the police officers. So yeah, very important. Presumption of innocence before proven guilty. So trial must be held by a non-biased judge or a jury of peers. Crown counsel must submit evidence to an open court. Any doubt of guilt remains, charges must be dropped. I think that is very self-explanatory. So jury of peers. So this usually is neighbors or people of the community who are also non-biased towards the plaintiff or the defendant. And as well, it's very important too that you don't prove guilty right away. Because in court, what they'll do sometimes, and they'll say, well, if you prove your guilt right away, we'll give you a plea bargain. And a lot of people succumb to this. So if you are innocent, it is incumbent upon the prosecution to prove that you're guilty upon more than reasonable doubt. So that puts a lot of pressure on them to state their case, as opposed to submitting to a plea bargain. As well, political exemption clause. So any personal information collected by a political nature that might go against the state interest. So if it's collected through phone calls, YouTube videos, or data collection, that information, if it's a political nature or if it's unconstitutional, may not be used against you or any of your members if you are part of a party or a corporation. So how is it invoked? So basically, if any crown, I was kind of mentioned earlier, any crown agent that breaks any of the 63 clauses, redress must be made to Her Majesty, stating your case. So say if a group was denied access to a public facility due on the grounds that it's denominational, hypothetically speaking, of course, your case might be a little bit different. That would actually be that would actually break clause 1, which is freedom of churches' elections. No state shall infringe upon that right, nor religion infringe upon their influence on the state as well, infringe upon the state's freedom as well. So you have a religious right and you have freedom of assembly and on any public ground to state your belief. And if that has been violated, you'd have to submit your evidence to the Queen, Her Majesty herself. And this is also, I'd like to say too, this is a divine document. So when you make this claim, the case would be between you, the Queen, and the judge would be ultimately God. So just keep that in mind as well too when you are invoking this. Ignorance of the common law is no excuse. Crown agents, can still be held high treason for not honoring the treaty. So, if for whatever reason, if any crown agent doesn't know the any of the clauses or has any knowledge of this treaty, they can be held in high treason if they break it. Still, if they are ignorant of it, they can still be held for high treason. So ignorance is no excuse. If 40 days have passed and redress hasn't been made by Her Majesty, the subject can practice lawful dissent in accordance with Clause 61. So if you haven't heard anything back from any of the Crown agents about this redress, you can practice lawful dissent. And that basically enacts all the clauses I mentioned before. As well, I'll mention to how you can let them know that you are practicing lawful dissent. And you are not, when you do this, you're not operating under statute law. You're operating under English common law and its provisions of the Great Treaty of the Magna Carta. So any law that they make, they lack jurisdiction to enforce it upon you. As well, so once those 40 days have passed, subject can distress the Crown any way possible, seizing public assets that are owned by the Crown, such as libraries, cities halls, provincial, national parks, etc., until redress is made by Her Majesty. So you, in the original document, it says like seizing castles, knighthoods, or something like that, or peasant land. This is an updated version of it, updated interpretation of the document here of Clause 61. And I will have more information on it too. So how will they know I'm practicing lawful dissent? So you'd serve them a notice that you're practicing lawful dissent, stating your organization, name, and title if applicable. On the background here, I kind of have like a sample. And it can be any organization or private person. If they feel that they've been neglected by the Crown or their rights have been directly infringed upon. State-specific claims that are relevant to the circumstance, such as writ of habeas corpus to avoid unlawful detainment or arrest. As well, swearing an oath to 25 barons. So also mention that as well too. I know I put that there on a third point, but also mention that as well. Not only state your name, organization, title, but you're swearing an oath to 25 barons until lawful redress has been made. As well, swearing an oath, any unlawful fines that you get must be remitted or judged by the committee themselves. So if you get like an unconstitutional fine, you proven beyond a reasonable doubt that it's unlawful due to the nature of being unconstitutional, as well as swearing an oath to 25 barons, they must follow this. As well, when you are serving them, you must act in honor, respect, and dignity. Honor meaning don't say anything you're not going to do. Respect, always act, respect their just decent, like don't badmouth them or uh, don't swear or call them names. Um, just give them the common decency, respect while you're acting with the crown employee. Always be on your best employees when you're acting with crown employees, because even though you're swearing an oath to the 25 barons, if you are swearing or if you're acting indignant toward the crown employees, they can still use that against you in court. So always make sure that you're on your best behavior when you're interacting with them, and dignity, of course. So this is just a quick overview. So Magna Carta was sealed by King John and the 25 barons in 1215 and is still binding upon the crown, any crown nation today, so any Commonwealth nation, and is binding upon all crown agents to recognize the common law and provisions of the Great Treaty, can be invoked by any citizen of the crown. No parliamentary statute supersedes the 63 clauses when successfully invoked, and any crown employee can be tried for high treason if any of these 63 clauses have been broken beyond a reasonable doubt. So this is just a basic kind of outline of it. I hope this just kind of gives you like an interview overview kind of what it's like. If you like, there's actually more information that you can check out as well too. I got a couple of links here that I posted as well. You can check out our party website at thenationalist.ca for more information. But if you do have any questions, feel free to comment on the video below. And you guys have a good rest of your day and Merry Christmas. Okay, bye.